Malaysia to continue voicing out stance on Gaza issue. Trump nominates retired general as envoy to Ukraine. Good afternoon and salam Malaysia Madani. I'm Otto Othman and you're watching World Today. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim said economic considerations, although very important, will not constrain Malaysia's stance in voicing the demands and justice of the Palestinian people, especially in Gaza. He said Malaysia, as an independent and sovereign nation, will continue to voice its stance on international issues, including the oppression and tyranny in Gaza. Taking Malaysia's relationship with the United States, the Prime Minister said that diplomacy is still good and both countries continue all comprehensive partnerships and cooperation, including meetings with the leaders of US.
Dan seperti mana kita faham, Januari hingga Oktober 2024, jumlah perdagangan dua hala antara Malaysia dan Amerika Syarikat telah meningkat 29.1% kepada 264.28 bilion ringgit, iaitu peningkatan yang agak tinggi, iaitu 57.76 bilion dolar daripada 204.78 bilion ringgit atau 45.09 bilion dolar bagi tempoh yang sama tahun 2023.
He said with a new US president and administration taking office, Malaysia expects these positive ties to continue. The Prime Minister was responding to a question on whether Malaysia faces any risk of trade sanctions from the United States due to the Prime Minister's outspokenness in defending the rights of the Palestinian people and state. Tens of thousands of Lebanese displaced by the war between Israel and Hezbollah headed back to their devastated towns and villages as a ceasefire took hold. Under the terms of the deal that brought the war to a halt, the Lebanese military started reinforcing its presence in the country's south, where Hezbollah has long held sway. Under the ceasefire deal, Israeli forces will hold their positions, but a 60-day period will commence in which the Lebanese military and security forces will begin their deployment towards the south. In its first statement since the ceasefire announcement, Hezbollah has proclaimed victory over Israel and says its fighters remain ready to deal with Israeli attacks. Hezbollah lawmaker Hassan Fadlallah told AFP that his group was cooperating on the Lebanese army's deployment in South Lebanon. Meanwhile, the road from the Lebanese capital to the south was jammed from before dawn, with thousands of people heading home. Cars and minibuses packed with people carrying mattresses, suitcases and blankets, with some honking their horns and singing in celebration. According to the United Nations, more than 900,000 people fled their homes in recent weeks as Israel pounded the country, focusing in particular on Hezbollah strongholds. France, meanwhile, deemed the ceasefire between warring sides, Israel and Hezbollah, a diplomatic success, adding that Paris is ready to contribute to efforts that will allow for the cessation of hostilities to last.
C'est un succès diplomatique auquel la France a amplement contribué et dont nous pouvons être fiers. Bien sûr, ce cessez-le-feu doit être pérenne et nous y contribuerons, premièrement en soutenant l'armée libanaise, deuxièmement en renforçant les casques bleus de la FINUL, où la France joue un rôle central, et enfin en accompagnant l'État libanais, qui doit trouver désormais une solution politique qui passe d'abord par l'élection d'un nouveau président et par des réformes permettant le redressement économique du pays.
Meanwhile, Turkey is ready to give Lebanon the necessary support for the establishment of internal peace, hours after a ceasefire with Israel came into force. Turkey has become an outspoken critic of Israeli leaders, and it called on Israel to pay for the damage caused in Lebanon. It hailed the halt in fighting that has killed thousands in Lebanon and hoped the ceasefire will be permanent.
Şimdi isterseniz sağda sükunetin muhafazası noktasında tüm tarafların bilhassa da İsrail'in sorumluluklarını harfiyen yerine getirmesini bekliyoruz.
U.S. President-elect Donald Trump has nominated staunch loyalist and retired General Keith Kellogg as his Ukraine envoy, charged with ending the 2.5-year Russian invasion. Trump campaigned on the platform of ushering a swift end to the Ukraine war, boasting that he would quickly mediate a ceasefire deal between President Volodymyr Zelensky and Russian leader Vladimir Putin. But his critics have warned that the incoming Republican will likely leverage U.S. military aid to pressure Kyiv into an agreement that left it ceding occupied territory permanently or agreeing not to join NATO. A fixture on the cable news circuit, the 80-year-old national security veteran co-wrote an academic paper earlier this year calling for Washington to leverage military aid as a means of pushing for peace talks. Ukraine has received almost $60 billion from Washington for its armed forces since Russia launched a full-scale invasion in February 2022. Kellogg served in several positions during Trump's first term, including as Chief of Staff on the White House National Security Council and National Security Advisor to then Vice President Mike Pence. Candidates backed by new Indonesian President Prabowo Subianto look set to secure victories in key regional elections, which analysts said should make it easier to implement his agenda and reinforce his political clout. More than 200 million Indonesians voted yesterday for leaders in 37 provinces, 93 cities, and 415 districts. According to initial results from the pollsters, candidates backed by Prabowo's broad coalition, some of whom were also endorsed by former President Joko Widodo, won most key provinces including Central Java, West Java, and East Java. Central Java, West Java, and East Java are seen as pivotal because they are the most populous provinces, while Jakarta has national significance as the capital and, as seen with Widodo, can be a stepping stone to run for presidency. In Jakarta, the candidates for governor and deputy governor, backed by the opposition Indonesian Democratic Party of Struggle (PDIP), had between 49.49% to 51.1% of votes, ahead of the ticket backed by a coalition of 13 government-aligned parties and an independent pairing. According to the General Elections Commission (KPU), official results are expected to be announced by 15th December at the latest. Joint operation from dozens of countries sees $8.4 billion worth of drugs. That and more after this. Authorities from dozens of countries seized 225 metric tons of cocaine in a 6-week mega operation where they unearthed a new Pacific trafficking route from South America to Australia. The latest phase of global naval Operation Orion resulted in the seizure of more than 1,400 tons of drugs, including 225 tons of cocaine and 128 tons of marijuana. More than 400 people were arrested in the operation targeting oceans, coasts, rivers, and ports around the globe in October and November. The massive bust involved the security agencies of the United States, Brazil, Spain, the Netherlands, and several other nations, as well as multiple international organizations. The seizure deprived drug cartels of more than $8.4 billion, according to a Navy statement. Colombian Navy official Orlando Enrique Grisales said officials also seized a semi-submersible wood and fiberglass vessel on its way to Australia with 5 tons of Colombian cocaine. This was the third such vessel discovered in this area, revealing a new route of trafficking with sophisticated boats that can cover the distance of some 10,000 miles without needing to refuel. A kilogram of cocaine is sold for up to $240,000 in Australia, said Grisales, about 6 times more than the price in the United States. The operation also uncovered previously unknown alliances between cartels from Mexico, Brazil, Colombia, Ecuador, and Peru with groups from Europe and Oceania. Colombia is the world's biggest cocaine producer and exporter, mainly to the United States and Europe. Last year, the South American country set a new record for cocaine production and cultivation of the coca leaf it is made from. An explosion in a plastic factory near the southeastern Spanish city of Alicante killed 3 people and injured 7 on Wednesday. A boiler exploded in an industrial estate in the town of Ibi, triggering a shockwave that affected the factory and an adjacent firm. One of the victims was from the neighboring company and 3 people were in a serious condition. Valencia Emergency Services had written on X that 7 people were injured overall. Firefighters, ambulances, and forensics experts were deployed around the partially collapsed factory, from which rescue workers carried out a body covered with a white sheet. A gigantic heap of plastic and wooden pallets had spilled out of gaping holes in the walls of wrapped metal. Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez expressed the government's full support to the victims, workers, and rescuers during an address to Parliament. Ibi Town Council announced 3 days of mourning. The company using the factory, Industrials Climber, produces expanded polystyrene, a foam that protects packaged goods. Thailand is sending almost 1,000 highly endangered lemurs and tortoises back to their home in Madagascar in what both countries called their biggest ever operation against wildlife trafficking. According to the Ministry of Natural Resources and Environment, Thai police found and confiscated 1,117 of the live and dead animals in the southern province of Chumphon in May, the kingdom's largest ever seizure. It said the repatriation of the 963 animals, ring-tailed lemurs, brown lemurs, spider tortoises, and radiated tortoises, is a significant step in anti-trafficking operations. The 4 species, which are endemic to Madagascar, are listed as near extinct or threatened by the Convention on the International Trade in Endangered Species (CITES). According to a report from Traffic, a wildlife NGO, Thailand is Southeast Asia's biggest legal importer and exporter of CITES-listed wildlife from Madagascar. Thailand is a major transit hub for wildlife smugglers, who often sell highly prized endangered creatures on the lucrative black market in China, Vietnam, and Taiwan. In Pakistan, a 16-year-old elephant, Madhubala, has been relocated from Karachi Zoo to a safari park where she will be reunited with her sisters. The milestone not only reunites Madhubala with her siblings Malika and Sonia after 15 years of separation, but also marks a turning point for Pakistan's commitment to wildlife welfare. The transfer was overseen by 4 Paws International, aiming to restore Madhubala physical and emotional well-being and improve Pakistan's standards of animal care.
When I came here first for the assessment, we diagnosed severe problems with the task. Then we came back 1.5 years ago. We did a really severe task surgery for 7 hours with my colleague Thomas Hildebrand from the Institute and with the local colleagues here and with the 4 Paws team. And I'm so happy to see now this totally healed. So the swelling is gone, the infection is gone, and she is mentally and physically right now in a good shape.
Escorted by a convoy of police and animal welfare experts, she was transported through the bustling streets of Karachi, a city of 20 million people, to her new home. The sanctuary, the first of its kind in Pakistan, was designed to meet international standards for elephant care. Elsewhere, a pair of twin giant pandas were seen playing in snow at a South Korean zoo in Yongin, near the country's capital, as heavy snowfall hit the country. In footage provided by Everland Theme Park, which the zoo is part of, twin pandas Rui Bao and Hui Bao were seen sliding on a snowy field and eating bamboo as snow fell around them and their parents. According to the zoo, the twin pandas, born in July 2023, were experiencing snow for the first time after having stayed indoors during winter last year. South Korea's capital, Seoul, was blanketed by the heaviest snowfall in Seoul during November on record. with bad weather snarling traffic, knocking out power and grounding hundreds of flights as authorities braced for more snow in coming days. Up next in sports, Liverpool moved to top of table after beating Real 2-0. Stay tuned.
Melaksanakan misi, mempertahan maruah, mencipta secara setia, bertemu takkan cinta dengan pasangan, membuat peluang bersedekan, satu perjuangan, satu sorakan yang direncana di dada dalam memburu takkan keraguan, kekuatan bicara, membebaskan sampai kendaraan.
And kicking off our sports segment this afternoon, Japanese side Yokohama F. Marinos defeated South Korea's Pohang Steelers 2-0 on Wednesday in the league phase of the Asian Champions League Elite. Goals from Jan Mateus and Anderson Lopez earned John Hutchinson's side a 2-0 victory at home to take the J-League outfit, who finished runners-up in last season's competition, up to third in the standings. Since kicking off the ACLE League stage with a nightmare 7-3 defeat against South Korea's Gwangju, John Hutchinson's men have bounced back impressively with 3 wins and a draw that have lifted them to third in the East standings. The hosts dominated at Nissan Stadium against a Pohang outfit, resting many regular players ahead of their appearance in the Korea Cup final on Saturday. The visiting side, nevertheless, defended doggedly to prevent a bigger scoring margin. In European football, Liverpool beat Real Madrid 2-0 on Wednesday to move back to the top of the Champions League standings with a perfect record of 5 victories from 5. Now, Liverpool so far had secured their 17th win in Arne Slot's first 19 games in charge, that the Dutchman already achieved what Jurgen Klopp could not as Liverpool boss by slaying the Spanish giants. Alexis McAllister thumped in Conor Bradley's pass in the 52nd minute to take Liverpool into the lead. The visitors were relying on Kylian Mbappe for a moment of magic in the absence of Vinicius, but the Frenchman was well marshalled by his international teammate Ibrahima Konate and Virgil van Dijk. His chance to silence his critics arrived on the hour mark when Andy Robertson was harshly adjudged to have tripped Lucas Vazquez inside the area. Kevin Kelleher has excelled in the absence of the injured Alisson Becker and leapt to his left to save Mbappe's spot kick. Liverpool had to wait just 6 minutes more for the cushion of a second goal, as substitute Cody Gakpo rose highest from a corner to power a header past Courtois. Meanwhile, goals from Jamie Gittins, Rami Bensebaini and Sergio Girassi took Borussia Dortmund to a 3-0 win at Dinamo Zagreb in the Champions League on Wednesday. Now, the win sent them into the top 4 spot in the table. English winger Gittins opened the scoring with a stunning long-range solo effort before half-time, shooting in from the edge of the box. Bensebaini headed in a Pascal Gross corner early in the second half, and Girassi came off the bench to add a third late, sealing the result. This was Dortmund's first away victory in any competition since September and sealed at least a spot in the knockout rounds. Dortmund have now won 4 of 5 outings in the Champions League, other than their 5-2 humbling in the Champions League final rematch against Real Madrid in October. Well, Zagreb had rebounded in the Champions League after an opening round 9-2 thrashing at the hands of Dortmund's German rivals Bayern, winning 2 and drawing another to climb into the knockout places. In England, Emiliano Martinez produced a wonder save, and Aston Villa were controversially denied a last-gasp winner as they played out a 0-0 draw with Juventus in the Champions League on Wednesday. Chances were at a premium in Birmingham, but the home side had Argentina international Martinez to thank for keeping the scores level. Unai Emery's Villa raced out of the blocks in Europe this season, winning their first 3 matches, but they have now failed to any of their past 7 games in all competitions. Emery made it clear before the match that a draw would not be a bad result against the Italian giants as he plots an exit from the revamped group stage. Juventus, playing without a recognized striker, enjoyed the bulk of possession in the early stages, but was showed little punch against the home side. Villa, playing their first season in the Europe's top-tier competition since the 1982-83 season, started their campaign with 3 wins, including a memorable 1-0 triumph against Bayern Munich before defeat at Club Brugge. Juventus now have 2 wins, 2 draws, and a defeat. In a dramatic turn of events, substitute Jasir Asani scored a pivotal goal with his first touch, leading Guangzhou FC to a vital 1-0 win against Shanghai Shenhua. Asani, the competition's top scorer, increased his tally in this year's tournament to 7 goals in the 58th minute, when the Albanian smashed a low-drive past goalkeeper Bao Yaxiong a minute after replacing Oh Hu-seong. This victory allowed the South Korean team to secure their position as second in the league phase of the Asian Champions League elite. The result keeps Guangzhou in second and Shenhua remain in 6th on 7 points, ahead of 9th place Buriram United from Thailand on goal difference. In other news, Uruguayan striker Luis Suarez has signed a contract extension with Inter Miami that will keep the 37-year-old with the team next season. Suarez, who played for Liverpool, Barcelona and Atletico Madrid, joined Miami in December last year for the 2024 season, linking up the former Barca teammates Lionel Messi, Sergio Busquets and Jordi Alba. Miami topped the MLS regular season standings, winning the Supporters' Shield with a record-breaking 74 points in 34 games, and Suarez netted 20 goals in 27 matches before they lost in the first round of the playoffs. Suarez, who has said Miami will be his last club, made his 143rd and final appearance for Uruguay in September and is their all-time leading scorer with 69 goals. Ruud van Nistelrooy is rumored to be appointed as Leicester City's new manager. Van Nistelrooy recently left Manchester United after a short spell as interim manager and serving as assistant to Erik ten Hag. Leicester sacked Steve Cooper on Sunday after just 12 Premier League games in charge, with the Foxes 16th in the table and only 1 point above the relegation zone. 2 of Van Nistelrooy's 3 wins in 4 games as United's caretaker boss in the past month came against Leicester in the League Cup and Premier League. The 48-year-old Dutchman has previous managerial experience from 1 year in charge of PSV Eindhoven in 2022-2023. Sky Sports reported that he could even be appointed in time to lead Leicester in their next game away in Brentford on Saturday. A prolific goal scorer, Van Nistelrooy enjoyed a glorious playing career, most notably at PSV, Man United and Real Madrid. And that's it for us this afternoon. In our top story today, Malaysia to continue voice out its stance on oppression on the people of Gaza. Do join us again on TV1 and saluran Berita RTM at 8:30 p.m. this evening. Or you can just stream us online on RTM Click's website and mobile app. Till then, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Thanks for watching and have a pleasant and wonderful day ahead.